All right, so we have an individual here who is joining me on a new segment that I'm thinking about calling Teaching Tuesdays, but I'm not sure yet. But for the people who may watch this or come across the video, do you want to let them know who you are and, you know, about the knowledge that is going to be coming forth from here on out?
Sure. So I'm Rahme'el Bay. I'm a Moorish American, representative of Great Seal Khalifa West, Great Seal West Khalifa. And so in these segments, we'll deal with, all the different aspects of knowledge, whether we're talking about law, whether we're talking about history, religion. We'll cover as much as possible to, get the information out there to the public, so that the public can empower themselves to start making the necessary changes so that we can get this thing changed around. So you can usually catch me, in between the different California territories, or in different parts of the country, doing lectures or whatever. You can find a lot of my videos, of course, on YouTube, just by going in and putting in Rahme'el Bay, spelled R-A-H-M-E'-E-L space capital E-L space capital B-E-Y. And so you can catch all of that. There's probably over 100 or so videos on there. You can watch them and get back to me if I'm tagged in those videos, because of course people put up videos on their different channels as they see fit. If I'm tagged and you ask a question, I'll come back and answer if possible. It's not.
All right, and how and why did you feel it was important to help get the information out to the people instead of just, going into your cave and just doing your own research until you felt fulfilled enough to do something else with your time?
There's several reasons for that. The one that, I'll talk most about is that, it's hard to sit here and watch these children die. It's very, very difficult. It pains me. It pains me to see our community in these shambles. And, we become very complacent as a people. We become very endeared to our current position, where many people don't see a need for change. They're comfortable. And so in order to get people out of that comfortable seat, you have to bring up uncomfortable discussions, that make people think, that challenge their beliefs, because that's how we're going to get this thing turned around. It's very difficult to keep watching the news and watching us just allow our children and our women to be attacked. I'm not built like that. So, I want to be a conduit inside of the community that helps facilitate the change. That's what I'm here for. That's what I came back for. So I'm just trying to, or not even trying to, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, to make the difference that I came back to make. Islam.
Islam. And with all that being said, how long have you been with the movement, and how has it impacted your life personally?
Well, being with the movement, I'll say I've been active, okay? And I use the word actively teaching for about 7 years or so. Right around, about 6, I'd say. I've been studying for over 20. I started studying at a very young age, actually longer than 20, but we'll say 20 based on retention and being able to understand at least a little bit for about 20 years. I started out studying based on just our history. I started out studying religion. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I was a full-time pioneer at one time. For witnesses, they know exactly what that means. Um, but it didn't sit right. You know, there were things that did not sit right to me, you know, for various different reasons. And so as I began to branch off, and even before then, I always read. I always was at the library. You know, if you tell me something, I wasn't the type of individual who was going to read the books just from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. That's not me. Because even at a young age, I understood that that's a form of indoctrination. That if you tell me that what you're teaching me I can't find anywhere else, then that automatically means to me there's a problem. So when I would read something, I would automatically go into a library or to an encyclopedia. If you tell me God's name is Jehovah, then I'm going to go look in an encyclopedia or a dictionary to see if that can be proven. And that's how I've always been. So I started out studying religion because I had many questions. And as I began to question things started to unravel. Now, as I'm younger, I didn't understand it, you know, but I was just reading. And so I, bumped into a lot of different understandings, books. Again, I did not understand what I was reading. It was just introducing me to knowledge that was not open to me based in the religious set or gang or affiliation that I had being a Jehovah's Witness. So then eventually I evolved into studying things from a Kemetic ledge, meaning that I started to study our ancient Kemetic African history. Again, I didn't have all the gifts of understanding at that time. I just was an avid reader. You know, I just wanted to study because I did want to know, but I did not understand the steps to getting to know really. I really just thought that you could pick up a book and that would help, but the way I was doing it was not producing a lot of change in me. It was producing a lot of knowledge, but not a lot of change. So eventually, I ended up bumping into certain things dealing with us being Moors, and that's when things really started to open up, because then I started to really understand the degree of lies. Once I started to understand, I started to see that there was a huge amount of lies and problems, even with the things that I had studied before. It was only popping. I mean, I was up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes not going to sleep because I was starving. I realized that I was starving. And once I realized that I was starving, I started realizing that I had to be fed. And so I started staying up. I'm studying all the master teachers. I mean, Dr. John Henry Clark was actually my first teacher, not physically, but he's the first person that I started reading his material, that I started watching his videos. And so that was when I was studying on the Kemetic ledge. I read the Antiquities of Jews by Flavius Josephus, some years ago. Was studying Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben Yakinen, those masters. And eventually I bumped into the master teacher, Emir Taj Tariq Bey. And that's when I really got opened up and started to understand Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And then once I realized that there was some lying going on, there was a fire that took place to where I'm like, you're not going to keep lying to me. You're just not going to do it. And so I began to just study. There was nothing more important to me at that point than studying. It wasn't necessarily about trying to teach anyone at that time, because I knew that, first of all, I wasn't in a position to teach. But second, I had such a fire and desire to learn the truth, and it still burns the same way today. I'm in a different position now with certain gifts of understanding, but I'm still burning to get to the bottom of the truth. But back then, I couldn't even sleep. I mean, it was interesting. I remember not sleeping and being just overwhelmed with the amount of information, and how history that we had been taught was 99.9% a fable, not a lie, okay? Not a lie, but a fable, just a concocted story And once I realized that, I've never looked back. Now my different ways of studying and things like that are really more pinpointed towards accuracy and learning how to study, because even studying is an art. It's an art form, and many don't know how to study. We think we do a lot of times, but the way that the layers are so hidden is that you can get to reading something that presents you new light based on what you know. But that doesn't make it the truth. It's just new light to you. And so that's how the lies and the truth are layered. So you go from reading the Bible to reading Antiquities of the Jews, you think you've been stepped up, until you realize that Flavius Josephus never existed. He didn't exist because the letter J wasn't around to the 1200s, so then who was he? So then you have to start researching who was this guy. So then you realize he's Arius Pisos. Then you start realizing Arius Pisos was a playwright, and that's where the whole Bible ends up coming from, is taking out the walls of the Meta. But you thought that you had found something when you got to Antiquities of the Jews, because it had shredded new light on the Biblios Heliotext, which is the Bible. But you didn't realize that there was five more degrees of lies until you got to the truth. And that's how it really started, Islam.